Hello there everyone, uxwbill here with some news about some upcoming vintage computer features that will be appearing on my channel in time. You remember when everybody had one of these full tower gateway style machines? I think they made these in both 486 and Pentium designs. This is a middle of the road Socket 7 Pentium system from about 1997-98, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit before then. Don't know for sure. I'm emptying out my vintage computer shed gradually, bit by bit, because unfortunately I've had to repair the roof several times now, and what do you know, I've got another major hole coming in the roof, even though when we put the roof on the house a couple years ago, the whole thing was re-roofed and it was repaired again after that, so the elements are getting in there and they've not been kind to things. Fortunately, I think this computer will probably come out okay, because it was sitting on a plastic base. And while I don't intend to get into it here with any kind of detail, I figured we could at least have a quick look inside while I've got the camera running. Go ahead and undo these. This will probably be the longest running part of the operation here, just to make sure there's no serious problems with this particular machine. I don't expect there will be, because it doesn't have any major openings on it. And unfortunately, there has been mouse activity in there. Not much, but I've seen some things that have been chewed up. And there are other things, of course, under the latest hole in the roof that are probably ruined, unfortunately. I think I've lost a Laser Rider 600, which is too bad. But yeah, I've been getting stuff out of there that I cared about because that shed has been in a bad way, despite several repeated repairs. It too came with the Roach Palace. It was in much better shape than the Roach Palace, but I think... Uh-oh, that one's wanting to round off. That's not good. Maybe I won't be getting into this today. Well, we can take another tactic here. Oh, lost that one. This does have a nut driver function built into it. Okay, that's too big. We got to turn it around. This is exciting stuff, folks, as it happens. Mainly because I was hoping to get away with producing this video and not having to edit it, so that when I uploaded it, it would be in the best possible quality. And I could get it out to you in a more expedient fashion. Okay, that worked. Dodged a bullet there. Guess I'm going to go to the hardware store and replace that one. Let's pop the cover on this thing and see how bad it looks inside. Boy, it's on there pretty good, isn't it? Alright, I don't want to bounce this thing around too much. I don't think it's got any concept of a lock. No, it doesn't. Alright, come on. Come on. Oh boy, maybe I can't do this on camera. I sure thought I could. Might end up editing this after all. Come on. Of course, it's been on there about forever, which probably isn't helping. Alright, just a second. Let's set the video camera down. There we go. That's got it. Well, at least at a first glance, I think this thing has survived pretty much intact. There's some spider webs in here, a little bit of crud in the bottom of the case. Another one of those Renata CR2032 batteries that everybody loves so much. But thankfully it hasn't leaked, although I'm sure it's completely dead. And it absolutely needs to come out of there. So we'll just go ahead and pop it out. I don't really like this battery socket design. I've broken a couple of these in my time, so I'm not going to try to do that on camera. May 28th of 1996 is when this system was brand new. And then there's this, and I don't know, this may be a basket case, open and shut. This was sitting right next to the gateway. Belonged to a friend of the family. He gave it to me years ago. I honestly thought it had been recycled. I'm sure that many of you out there are familiar with the name Hyundai as an automaker. But at one time, in the wild and woolly days of the personal computer market, when personal computers were a hugely profitable business, they, like many other companies, got into the business. Of course, back then, they had an electronic components division. They made computer memory ICs and things like that. That division has since been spun off to Hynix. And I don't know who, if anyone, ended up with the computer business. This one was sitting under a shelf. But that shelf was also right underneath where the roof happened to be leaking. And worse than that, You know, if you have computers that have any openings on them in a storage area, and that storage area happens to get mice, oh yeah, they'll get in there and they'll urinate on things, and worse. And once they've done that, it corrodes the motherboard unless you catch it in time. I don't hold out much hope for this one. It's a Hyundai Super 286N. I remember when he bought this thing, about 1990 or thereabouts. And of course in 1990 you could have bought more powerful computers than this. A 286 was certainly a bit of a dated design by then. But just like that Zenith Easy PC that V Westlife was talking about recently, a lot of people actually still were pushing XT class machines with monochrome and CGA displays well into the 1990s, at least in this part of the world. So by comparison to those, this was a pretty nice machine. And this machine has a VGA display card in it. An interesting VGA display card that I think might very well have some television output capability. It certainly has the capability to drive a TTL monitor, at least a CGA or EGA type for sure. There's the VGA port, and here's the interesting capability. You see that round port right there? I can't help but think that that's some kind of a television encoder output. Here's the card of ports that the system has. You really didn't get a whole lot. Of course, this was well before the days when a mouse was standard, so there's just keyboard serial and parallel on this particular system. I certainly hope that keyboard is wired as a standard AT style, because I don't have the special keyboard for this machine. However, the whole point may be moot, depending upon what we discover when I pull the top cover off. Well, it looks better than I expected, I'll give it that. It might not be ruined, although one bugbear that lurks in the shadows with these older machines is that of the clock battery. A lot of these machines had a rechargeable clock battery, which when they were in regular use was absolutely fine. But later on, when that battery ran down, it could start leaking. Even if it hadn't run down, if it just got enough miles on it, I just lost another screw, that was productive, it could become a problem down the line. But amazingly, despite how wretched this system looks on the outside, I think that it has by and large been spared any indignities. And the battery is one of these sealed non-rechargeable lithium types, Tataran TL5242/W, 3.6 volt high energy lithium battery, non-rechargeable. I've heard of these leaking, but the fact that the battery is actually contained in a case certainly helps our chances here. So more likely than not, it's just hopelessly dead after all of these years. ATI VGA Wonder 16. And of course, this is one of those systems that bases on a backplane style design. So you have this board right here that represents the entire computer. Could be fairly described as a single board computer, because even the memory sims are on there. It looks like it's got quite a bit of memory installed. I don't remember how much memory this thing had in it. Things are not looking so good down here by the power supply. But this is a standard AT power supply, and I think just as a matter of safety I would probably replace it. Because when switch mode power supplies go really, really wrong, when they've been sorely neglected, really bad things tend to happen if you power them up and get that devastating ramrod of an inrush of current. And unfortunately, I don't really think there's much you can do in the way of soft starting them, because the filter caps will charge up. Look at that. Looks like a paper clip's jammed in there. This is a mini scribe hard drive, ST506 interface. There's the other side of it. So this one, I don't know when this will show up in a video. I have some work that I have to take care of before I can invest the time and effort into something like this, including some work that I have to do for other people regarding their vintage computer equipment. So it'll probably be a while before this one surfaces, but at least it doesn't look like it's hopelessly ruined. I think the case might clean up pretty well. I could get some newer slot blanks, and maybe I could treat that rusty video port with some sort of a anti-rust or a rust removal agent of some kind that wouldn't be devastating to the card itself. Or I could just desolder the port off something else and replace it. But the rest of the card is amazingly clean. Alright everyone, that's your vintage computer update. It has continued on far longer than I expected it would. Don't know when these machines will land in a video, but you should certainly expect to see them sometime. And in all likelihood, you will see this one right away. So thank you as always for watching, and do feel free to leave a comment if you have one.